Hi there. You're watching Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our platforms. I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio, and that gentleman is
Felipe de Herida in the UK, just outside of London.
just outside London.
Hmm?
Yeah, where I thought I had an extra hour of daylight, but I guess not. So, Felipe and I have had the wonderful distinction of being the first to taste and discuss Bacanora Pascola. This is a brand new agave spirit. Well, actually, it's got its own denomination of origin, so it is officially a Bacanora out of Sonora. We've discussed the Blanco, which they're calling a Blanco. This is the Reposado, and I should probably go into a couple of things. It is made according to the information on the back. We have some information on the website by the importers. We also have some information from the POS material, the point of sale material that they sent to us. It is 100% Agave Agastifolia HAW, which has been recognized as I would say it's the official plant of the state that you can make Bacanora with. It does have a denomination of origin that was what was it, 2005, I believe.
2005, yeah.
It received its official. It was illegal in the 90s. This stuff was moonshine.
I know, it's incredible to think, isn't it?
Well, the funny story was, this is my first Bacanora and Felipe's first Bacanora. I've had mezcals, and we've had all kinds of tequilas, obviously, and other agave spirits. Do you know who told me that he grew up drinking Bacanora? And the first person that ever mentioned that to me was a gentleman who has his own line of tequila called Mexican Moonshine. He's a rock star, and his line is Mexican Moonshine. The group is wow. Why does it escape? Why is it that it does that to me? It escape. Roger Klein. It's called Roger Klein and the Peacemakers. We've known each other for a long time. He is an independent artist. You can catch his latest CD. But when he grew up in Arizona, and he told us stories, and we've actually filmed a couple of interviews with him. And he would tell us stories that while he was helping his grandfather on the ranch, that they would sneak Bacanora. And I thought to myself, wow, that's really some rustic stuff, because I can see where the Sotol has a history of being bootlegged into Texas from Chihuahua, but that's the first I had heard that a white American male growing up in southern Arizona, out in the middle of nowhere, was drinking Bacanora. So he had a taste for the rustic and really enjoyed that, and that I think began his journey into tequila. But he grew up drinking Bacanora, and I thought, wow, So when he was drinking it, it literally was illegal.
Does it come out in his music?
Yeah, well, his tequila does. His tequila is Mexican Moonshine. He's a wonderful guy, just a great guy to talk to, and extremely intelligent and well-traveled, and a great guy. Somebody who has an affinity for the traditional. Even though most of his music, and he often says, I took the road less traveled. Which is why he's an independent.
Yeah.
An independent rock star, but he's been doing it for a long time. You should look him up. You'd really enjoy his music.
I shall, yeah.
Yeah, Roger Klein, and you can find a lot of just when you go to our website, tequilaaficionado.com, just punch in Roger Klein, and all the information comes up. That we've had some wonderful discussions with him. He's been a really good friend of Tequila Aficionado, and we love his tequila. He's also the official tequila of the Arizona Diamondbacks, the baseball team. So that says something. We've been singing the praises of Pascola Bacanora, at least the Blanco. This is the Reposado. How long did you say this was being aged, Felipe?
6 months. is what I came up with.
Okay.
Which I think that was actually off of their site, but like I said, with the Blanco, my Spanish isn't fluent enough for me just to read it, so it might be.
I have not been to...
I know what 6 months is in Spanish, so I'm all right with that.
It's seis, yes.
6 meses.
6 meses. This is at 43 ABV. They are getting ready to roll out in the United States. By the time you see this video, it will have rolled out officially. They're letting us know when they're going to roll out, so we can, they can have the first tastings. This is it's an interesting story. The company that's importing it is Novel Spirits. They are based also in the UK. I believe in the UK they're called something different. The importers are MA Wine and Spirits in London, but in the United States it's Novel Spirits, and they are related. The interesting thing is this is a I'm going to say this is a Bacanora that is being curated by a young lady and her partner. I'm reading through her bio. It's Adriana Torres de la Huerta, and her partner, who is the founder of Alma Lourdes Peña Gomez, is also her partner, and apparently a connoisseur of Bacanora. And the two of them collaborated into bringing us Pascola, which I guess what this is this is interesting. It's almost like the American Cocopelli, the vision, the Native American symbol that you see there.
Oh, I see, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It says he is the masked Pascola. The spirit of Pascola is a dancer, a host, a speaker, and a storyteller. Hey, that about sums it up for all of us, I think.
Well, we'll see how we feel after the bottle, won't we?
Well, we loved the Blanco, the Plata, they're calling it. I think the silver is how it's being brought to us. It's extremely clean. This is for 6 months in a barrel, Felipe. It's rather like a light gold color. It's not very deep.
No, that's nicer. Still a good color.
Yeah, it's got some pretty legs and tears. We discovered an initial smokiness that's not unlike some of the early mezcals when they first broke onto the market, and that's not off-putting. It's not overpowering, at least not on the silver.
Yeah.
But now this one's a little bit sweeter.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I'm using my Jarrito tumbler. This is the longer neck for tequila. The one I used previously was the one we used for mezcals or other agave spirits. I like to play with either or, just to see if I get to pull out anything else. This one's much sweeter on the nose.
Definitely.
And
The smoke isn't as overpowering.
exactly. Not that it was
There's less
overpowering at the beginning either on the silver.
No.
It wasn't like it
Not
was
as
in your
prominent.
face. Yeah, it wasn't
It was not
smoky.
prominent.
Right. Yeah, this one's more in the back. The smoke is more in the background now.
Yeah.
I get more barrel, which is kind of nice.
I'm getting the because there's less of the smoke, the fruit is more up front.
The wood is too. There's some caramel notes, vanilla notes that you normally get in a decent tequila, in a decent reposado. In fact, you have to really dig, which is really unusual to do that with a jarrito, to actually dig deeper in to find more smoke. If you're looking for more smoke, if that's what turns you on, it's really in the background. You got to go a little bit deeper. You got to dive a little deeper than you normally would.
I'd say that's probably more vegetal than the silver. once you put in a good breath of it.
And if you've seen me do this, I go from left brain to right brain because, depending on the glass that I'm using. With the Jarrito, I don't necessarily have to dig in so deep, but because this is a new spirit to both of us, I really want to pinpoint some stuff so I'm sure I know what I'm getting. Now, this is a process that is baked in stone and brick ovens. We don't know much about the distillation. We don't know if it's copper. We don't know if it's stainless steel. What does it look like on the website, Felipe? Do we know what the distillation style is? I know you mentioned the fermentation. Looks like they when they macerate it, and it's probably macerated with a stone wheel. I would go there.
Yes.
So they probably pick up a lot of the fibers and toss it. Is it a wooden vat? Probably a wooden vat, wouldn't it?
There was no photographs of it or anything like that where it was going. And as for the stills, I didn't pick up any whether it was copper or steel or anything from it. It was just, and then it goes into a still.
It has a very, the Blanco, the silver had a very rustic, authentic feel to it, and yet it was in some ways it was very much lighter than an average mezcal.
Definitely.
It's giving me the munchies. I'm hungry, and I don't have a lot. With these glasses, it's really interesting. You don't need a whole lot to open up, but the Plata really opens up your appetite like a good Sotol does for me. I gotta dive in. I gotta find out what this what this is like.
In comparison, that's deeper and smoother.
Yeah,
isn't it? That's
almost too dangerously smooth. As I've mentioned with the Plata, look, I've been through a third of this bottle. This is a one night, and it's a 42 ABV, and I swear to you, I don't get a buzz. I'm not sure if it's so clean that is, or maybe it's the plant, maybe it's the characteristics, maybe it's just me. I'm not one to age, mezcals in. I prefer my regular mezcals, made of Espadín or out of Oaxaca or other areas, or Zacatecas, or I prefer them not aged. But I gotta tell you, I really, really enjoyed this Bacanora in 6 months in a barrel. It just gave it an extra layer of complexity.
There's more of an oaky aftertaste to it. The Blanco, it would go after so long, but this one's kind of towel, takes a bit longer to towel off with.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the way the silver is processed with mesquite. You mentioned that they use mesquite wood, and so when the mesquite wears off, the barrel comes in. It looks like it's like they're playing off of each other somehow.
There's sweeter notes as well afterwards.
Yeah,
with that, definitely.
Now the smoke does. I got more of a finish on this one. I don't know if you did, but I got more of the warm fuzzy that I'm used to having with a good mezcal. With a more higher ABV mezcal. Not that Bacanora is not mezcal; it is a mezcal, but it does have its denomination of origin. So it was illegal in the 90s. It was illegal in since 1915 it was illegal. It was moonshine. So it really does have a smuggler's. It has a smuggler's kind of panache, image.
Mm.
More so, I think, than Sotol. I really love the wood notes on the top, man.
Yes.
Wow, this is really.
See, now I've had a couple of glugs of that. I'm getting more of a sweet nose out of it.
Yeah, me too. It is opening up even more, and I think the oak is becoming more prominent.
Mm.
Not so much taking over, but I think it's just adding that extra layer of complexity.
Mm.
Because when you first pop this bottle open, there's no mistaking that you're having a type of mezcal. So it's not a tequila, but it's hard to pinpoint unless you've had enough mezcals or sotols for that matter. It's hard to figure out why this was different. It's different, but you're not sure why.
Yeah, it's a lot more subtle. The difference between the Blanco and this is a lot more subtle than you'd get from, say, standardized Don Julio Blanco than the
Right.
Repo. You could go right, boom, that's it. But this is a lot more salty to it.
Well, it's almost as if the wood has rounded out the edges. It actually has, whatever rough edges you feel that the silver has, the wood has kind of rounded it out a little bit.
Mm.
But in a very pleasant way. I think the silver would definitely stand up in any kind of a cocktail. If you're not sure how to use a Bacanora, do what we used to do when we first got mezcal when it first came on. I remember Ron Cooper telling me, how do you have this besides neat? And he says, float it on a margarita. So, if you're so inclined, float it on a margarita.
I should be doing that in the next hour.
There you go. I love it in wood.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't often say that about mezcals in general. I like the way the process of mezcal and the different plants they're using, like tobola and madre couche and barril. I really like those unaged. Although I've had those aged before at lower ABVs, but I really like this as an aged, as an aged agave spirit. I'm really enjoying it. I didn't think I would.
No, I think I'm going to go with the word perturbed for this, because it's not something that I would. It's not something I've said with regards to the Blanco. It's not something I would go, oh, there you have. When it's smoky, I like my smoky and like paprika and cigars and things. But drinks, I'm always a bit. And I've had some that's smoky and they're fine, and I've had some that's just far too much.
Right.
But like the Blanco, it's like my brain's been put back a little bit off. My vision's ghosting for all the just like, oh really? I didn't think you could get it like that, because it's not. There's so much flavour coming out of it.
Yes.
Including the smoke, the smoke is there as another one, as opposed to being prominent.
Well, it's you're getting this spectrum, and the only thing that the wood has actually done, and I see why they only did it for 6 months, it's just rounding out the edges, but it's adding an extra layer of complexity, and I've discovered that in mezcals too. That a great mezcal you can drink out of your hat. You know what I mean? It didn't matter what vessel it was you were using, but when they're aged in wood, a good mezcal will never lose its characteristics. The wood doesn't mask it so much as it adds an extra layer, and I think that's what's happening here. I'm still getting the coating of the smoke on my palate, as we go through this. Maybe I'm the one that's susceptible to that, but like I say, it's like a good cigar. Once you've had a few puffs, and you're not drinking something with it, like a cafecito or an añejo. You're just smoking on a cigar. You're going to get that coating of the smoke in your palate, and it's almost like a liquid cigar almost.
Yeah, and of course, the smell won't get stuck in your beard.
Well, yeah, or like in your clothes, right? I see that, or in your hair, you know what I mean? How it's, or your clothing. Like on a cold day, you're outside smoking in your coat. You have. That's why we have smoking jackets.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Put that
what
on
do
my
you
wish list.
what do you think?
Yeah.
I like that you're perturbed.
Don't you know? Yeah, I like it, actually.
I do too. I was very impressed. There are some mezcals that I refuse to drink aged, because
Mm.
I think it's just not necessary. But with this Bacanora, I think it really lends itself. So far that I can tell, other than the lower ABV mezcals that I've had that are aged in French oak, for instance,
Mm.
like Scorpion has done that. Escorpion also, their other line, they're all like 40 ABV. Some of them, one of the lines is a little higher, but that particular line I loved in French oak. But in regular oak, I'm really liking this Bacanora. This
Just
Pascola
think,
Bacanora, check it out. You're gonna see a lot of. Mark my words, you're gonna be seeing a lot of this on the market very very shortly.
mm.
Um,
So I tried a few. The London Tequila Fest was now the Tequila and Mezcal Fest.
right,
There's a lot of mezcals there, very high end artisan
right.
ones. And there was really nothing, especially like in the last year, there was nothing there that really stood out. But when I met Mel from Novel Spirits, he said he was there the year before, and I was there the year before. I don't particularly recall him. Don't particularly recall a lot. But he said all these people like took it and they sampled it and they took his cards, and I think he said all he got was a few more hits on Facebook. He said he got nothing from being there. And he said drinking that, I think, but maybe he was just a year ahead, a year too soon for it, because that I can't see how that couldn't sell.
Well, here's the thing. Every time there's a crisis of any sort, and right now when you're watching this video, we're filming this a couple of months before the Pascola rolls out in the United States. Right now we're in the middle of an agave crisis in tequila, and there's unrest in the mezcal industry right now. So as agave aficionados, as tequila aficionados, those of us who are bored with the cookie cutter flavor profiles of tequila, we're looking for the next best thing. So people who know, connoisseurs, collectors, people who just like authentic Mexican spirits, are looking for the next thing. And I think Bacanora, Sotol, and other agave spirits are going to gain a foothold, more acceptance in the market when there is a crisis. Because when Mel was at the show a couple of years ago, nobody was paying attention to an agave
No.
crisis. Mezcal was riding high, and he was just like you said, he was early, he was ahead of his time. I guarantee you, once they roll out, if he does that the show this year, and hopefully you'll be able to cover that for us again this year, he's going to really get some notoriety, because I think his importation company and those of his parents, which is Novel Spirits, the United States version of the importation company, is really poised to take a chunk of that market, and other agave spirits need to pick up the slack, because you and me, when your tequilas, your favorites, your go-tos are gone, what are you going to do? You're either going to go to whiskey, especially in your case, you're either going to go to whiskey, or you're going to find the obscure, the more artisanal, the more the stuff that you remember old school tequila used to taste like, or old school agave spirits. And so that, I think that's next on the list. I think this is I think the whole company is ahead of its time, and maybe they should. And what I really like is the fact that the UK, the European Union, Europe in general, they understand the meaning of craft. They get it. You know, even though some whiskeys are mass produced and some scotches are mass produced, but they also understand that there's a craft involved.
Well, there's a history of tradition, isn't it? I mean, you know, we would have been making whiskey for like 1,000 years, or you know,
Yeah.
when the Spaniards came over, they took the pulque, didn't they? And went, oh, but if you take that and then you distill it, so there's it's rooted, isn't it? It's rooted in the culture for it.
Yeah, it's you know, from beers to ciders to you know, the UK gets it. You know, I always say that Europe understands the meaning of craft and the meaning of a clean product. You know, we see adulterated stuff in the U.S. and we see, you know, and in Mexico and other countries, you see adulterated spirits. But there's, you know, the Europe, they get it. That's why that's why the denomination of origin, the idea, the whole model is based on the European French model of terroir. You know, I mean, that's where they get it from. So I think Brand of Promise nominee in that Bacanora category. I can't wait to taste what else the company will bring to the market. But I'm really enjoying this one. It's Pascola.
I quite like the frosted bottle as well for this one.
Yeah,
it's a clear bottle on the Blanco, or
yeah,
the silver. Frosted bottle. I like that. That's a nice touch.
I do. I like it too. It gives a little bit of a nice what do you call it? A nice elegance to it. You know, it's a nice elegance to it. So yeah. So congratulations to Novel Spirits. That'll be our take on the Pascola Bacanora Reposado. But stick with us because we're gonna dive deep into the Añejo version. That's coming shortly.
Yeah.
I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. That gentleman is
Felipe.
And you've been watching. He's in the UK, by the way.
In the UK, yeah.
You've been watching Sipping Off the Cuff on all of our channels. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Or if you're listening to us on Blog Talk Radio, subscribe to our podcast. That's right. You'll be able to hear Felipe and his lovely brogue out of your headset or even on Alexa. So that'll happen very shortly. Whatever you do, please continue to follow us and tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.
I'm Mike Morales. I'm CEO of Tequila Aficionado Media, and I just wanted to thank you for watching Sipping Off the Cuff. We love doing these reviews for you. Now, if you're an Agave Spirits brand owner and you're watching this, there are 3 things that I'd like to talk to you about. Number 1, if you'd like us to review your Agave Spirit on Sipping Off the Cuff, just send me an email, mike@tequilaaficionado.com. It won't cost you a dime, and I promise you'll get an honest review. Number 2, if your brand has been nominated, past or present, as a brand of promise, we can help you promote your brand effectively and affordably over on the tequila PR side of things. Just email me, mike@tequilapr.com. And number 3, if your brand has ever been a Brand of Promise nominee or a winner, you automatically qualify with us, or to go with us on our next promotional tequila tour. So shoot me an email, tours@tequilaaficionado.com, and I'll send you all the details on our upcoming tequila tour. That's it. Thanks again for watching. Sip wisely.